strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's the flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened?
America is football. Football is America.
Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass.
For the moment in time, I don't give a damn.
Oh
my God!
No!
You loved it.
30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
What is going on, guys? I would do the woo thing, but I can't open my mouth all the way. I had my plates removed from my jaw, and I can't really speak that well, but I wanted to make sure I got my predictions to you guys, okay? Rick, he can't make it tonight, but he did send me all of his picks as well, and sorry if I sound like I'm slurring. My mouth is super swollen, but let's get right into the predictions. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes of this, because I obviously can't do a ton of talking. Well, I want to open up talking about the Eagles and the Saints. When you're looking at this from a betting point of view, I think this could be the ultimate overreaction of the week. The Eagles 3-point underdogs against the Saints. The Saints, a team that had really low expectations heading into the season, and they proved a lot of the doubters wrong, and it looks like the Saints have the most explosive offense in football right now in a season where offense is down, right? I think I posted this the other day. The average passing yards per game is at its lowest since, I believe, 1996. So the Saints, who would have thought, right? They would have been the one of the few teams that doesn't look inept. However, ... The Eagles are a team that many picked to make the Super Bowl. Yes, they're 1-1, but they face really difficult opponents. It does sound like they're going to be without A.J. Brown, but I think this is the perfect time for the Saints offense to come back down to earth. I'm not ready to say the Eagles should be underdogs in this spot after a narrow loss last Monday night that could have been avoided if Saquon Barkley made an easy catch, a catch that he normally makes, and he would have walked right into the end zone. So I do feel like this is a little bit of an overreaction. Let me pull up Rick's pick really quick. Rick says he's going with the Saints, so we are already in a disagreement. He says Saints. This will be a high-scoring game even without A.J. Brown in the lineup for the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles here. I think this is going to be a come-back to earth game for New Orleans, but I am a fan of all their success and Derek Carr kind of on this FU tour of a season, getting fined from the NFL for saying suck it. Like, I'm a fan of the energy he's playing with. I could understand why somebody would go with the Saints in this spot, but I do feel like it's an overreaction at this point. We got Nick in the chat. What's up, Kyle? Broncos beating Tampa. I am coping. I think it's very possible. So I know that you and me might be the only people in the world that think so, but let's talk about it. The Broncos. Okay. 0-2. Haven't been able to get anything going offensively. Bo Nix has not looked like the fix. Our running game has been abysmal. Our red zone defense has been bad. Our rushing defense has been bad. Our red zone offense is the worst in the NFL. It seems that we don't have a lot of weapons, and even when they do get a little bit of separation, it seems like the pocket's not holding up. And honestly, when you can't run the football, you can't do much of anything. And that's kind of where Denver is right now. It's been a rough going for the Broncos. As somebody that was at the second game and watched the first game, Denver scored just one touchdown now through 2 games of the season, and they're only averaging 13 points per game. The Buccaneers team, meanwhile, has totally taken care of business. They're coming off a big win against the Lions in Ford Field, and while this could be a hangover spot, I think the Bucs are clearly the better team in this situation. Now, the Broncos, they're probably going to continue to struggle to put up points this week, with Tampa Bay ranking inside the top 14 in both offense and defensive yards allowed. But Denver ranks in bottom 5 of each of those categories. So right now, it's just overall, Denver's got a lot of things to work out. However, I don't think Tampa -6, I don't think they're going to cover that spread. I do like Denver. Like, if they lose this game, I think it's by a field goal. Denver's lost by less than a touchdown in both of their games. Their defense has played pretty well, considering how the offense has been. And we know the numbers. If you go 0-3, you got a 1% chance of making the postseason or something like that. So I just think Denver going on the road, I feel like this is actually a good thing. Bo Nix has made a couple comments about the humidity of Florida and how he finds comfort in that. And look, at this point, any advantage is an advantage. If a little bit of humidity makes Bo Nix feel like he's playing high school football again, then I'm all in. I'm waiting for that game for Bo Nix to kind of get a better grasp of the NFL and the speed of the NFL. And I'm not predicting that that's going to happen tomorrow, but I am hopeful that it's going to happen. And I'm by no means out on Bo Nix and Sean Payton through 2 games of football. Like, Jordan Love looked like ass the first time we saw him play. This is what you get when you rush rookie quarterbacks out. I don't care if you're Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix. I mean, there's a reason collectively all of the 3 quarterbacks that were started combined have 0 touchdown passes. The NFL is very hard. Like, scoring's down for Patrick Mahomes. It's down for everybody. It's especially down for the rookie quarterbacks. I don't think we should be hitting the panic button yet. I think we should strap in and get comfy and just get used to the struggle, because it is a struggle, but we're just looking for those signs that we're getting better. And I think 2 games in the season is way too early to, be selling any Bo Nix stock. And same goes for Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. And we just saw Bryce Young get benched, I think that's the fastest first overall pick to get benched in history. This is a win now league, but there is a reality to winning that it takes a lot, right? There's a reason Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield sucked in Carolina, and now they're succeeding with their new homes, right? I don't think Sean is that type of a problem for Denver. Sure, there's been questionable calls, but I mean, people are always going to say, they're always going to question the coach when you lose football games, because typically when you lose football games, it's because you couldn't control time of possession, you couldn't run the ball effectively. And when you can't do those things, people blame coaching, right? It could be some coaching, but it also looks like there could be a talent issue on this team. And also, it's a young team, right? We got rid of a lot of older players. So, there is no Justin Simmons anymore. This is a much younger team, and overall, I still have hope in this team. I mean, you're talking 0-2. You know, I don't think there's any Ravens fans out there selling their season tickets because they think that their season's over, right? I don't think there's Bengal fans doing that. There's plenty of good 0-2 teams right now. We just can't go 0-3. I'm going to take the Broncos to get their first win of the season. Now the Bucks. I like what they're doing. I think they have a good chance of winning this game at home, but I think Denver is hitting the road. For those of you that don't know, Denver's playing the Jets next week, so they decided to actually stay in West Virginia instead of flying back home. And they're looking at this as a 2-week trip with the team. And they're going to get away from Denver. They're going to get rid of the local, they're going to get far away from the local media. And they're going to spend this time bonding, internally as an organization. They're all 0-2. Right? And they're going to get away from all that. And I think Denver is going to have a good energy about them that we're not typically used to seeing from a road team. I think the being on the road is actually something that people in Denver are leaning into right now. And if you've been following throughout the week, you know that the team is leaning into the road trip as well. So I like Denver on the road this week. If I had to bet on this, I would take Denver +6. I wouldn't take them straight up, but hopefully they do get that straight up victory. For Rick, where's Rick's pick? Here. Rick's got Broncos. No, he got the Bucks. Ow. Broncos are having a tough time on offense, and the Bucks with Baker are monsters. Might be a double-digit win for the Bucks. I don't think so. And I agree with Nick. Trap game for Tampa. I'm openly aligned with myself. I agree, Nick. I agree. Trap game. All right, next up. Gosh, I can't open my mouth all the way, and it's starting to hurt a little bit, so I'm going to try to speed up. The plates that I got removed, I kept them. I have them. I asked the doctor, I was like, can I keep those? All right, next up we got Stefon Diggs returning to the Vikings. This one feels kind of gross. I don't understand this line at all. I don't think the books are giving the Vikings the respect they deserve. Houston was the all-hype team coming into the season, and they've taken care of business. They're 2-0 while missing a cover in both games by 1/2 of a point. Now with Joe Mixon out, I think that we're going to see even more pressure put on CJ Stroud, who is just 3-7 against the spread as a favorite in his young career. Now Stroud's going to face one of the 3 best defensive coaches in football with Brian Flores. And this defense looks really good. They're 1-3 straight up. I think we'll see a ton of exotic blitz packages that's going to throw Stroud off balance and make his life a little difficult. Now, Justin Jefferson is off the injury report, so that kind of plays a big role in this. But I like the Vikings at home. I do. And if you guys have been following the podcast, and I took Sam Darnold before the season started to win Comeback Player of the Year. And I feel like if he's going to win that award, he's going to need to have wins like he had last week. And he's going to have wins like this game right here. At home against the Texans, the whole world's going to be watching. I think this is a really good position for the Vikings to gain some really good momentum. I do see this being a really close game. The Vikings are 2-point underdogs, and I like the underdog on this pick. I mean, you got the Texans favorited to win this game on the road. Like I said, CJ Stroud's 3-7 as a favorite. So he definitely plays better as an underdog. I'm going with the Vikings in this game, but I do think it's going to be a really, really good game and a fun one to watch. Rick's got the Texans, and it's Rick's game of the week. This will be a game of defenses, and I'm taking the Texans defense over the Vikings. Sam Darnold looks really good so far, though. He might be the next Tannehill. And Rick saying this is going to be the game of the week, which I think it is definitely a worthy candidate. All right, next up, we got the Chicago Bears taking on the Colts. Now, this is my don't touch it of the week. This is a really weird game because you got two teams. The next two games are really weird, right? I don't know what to do here because, like, Anthony Richardson, the tape is out, and there's a lot of people that are actual scouts coming out and saying, like, Anthony Richardson's missing high school level quarterback throws, right? He is not playing very well offensively. And then for the Bears, offensively, they're just not running the football well. And Caleb Williams appears to have a lot of growing to do. These are two capable defenses, and they're facing offenses coming off of lackluster performances. And for the Bears, they're coming off two lackluster performances. And that's why Chicago ranks 31st in total yards, while the Colts are in the middle of the pack at 14. But both teams are averaging fewer than 19 points per game. While I think the long-term outlooks for both teams are positive on offense, I don't think anything changes drastically this week. And I'm definitely going with the under. The under is set at 44 points. But in this case, I'm going to take the Bears here. I think the Bears are going to go on the road, and they're going to get this win. Don't feel good about this pick at all. This is definitely one of my don't touch it's. The next game we're going to discuss is another don't touch it as well. But Rick is going with the Bears. Colts defense is bad at stopping the run, and that's exactly what this Bears team needs to get a good passing game going for Caleb. Ugly score, though, something like 19-12, which would have my under hitting. I agree with the ugly score, though. But yeah, Rick's going with the Bears. Honestly, if it's a toss-up game, you're going to go with your favorite team. Nick said Colts Bears is going to be a weird one that ends 2-5 or something. I don't know if I would go 2-5, but I think it's going to be a weird one. All right, now this is my second don't touch it. The Ravens and the Cowboys. Okay. It's week 3, so it's kind of weird because the Ravens haven't won a game yet, and the Cowboys are coming off an embarrassing loss against the Saints. I prefer to back teams that are 0-2 against the spread and straight up. The public tends to hate those teams, but that's not the case here. It seems like everyone's back to hating the Cowboys after this embarrassing loss against the Saints last week. Like I said, you should probably stay away from this game, but I also think if you're looking at betting, this is a rare spot to take Lamar Jackson and the Ravens with all of the trends pointing towards them. In his last 7 games against teams outside the NFC East, Dak Prescott is 1-6 against the spread. This is also the first time that Prescott will be a home underdog since 2019. So why is Baltimore favored? It's literally just because of Lamar Jackson. He's 20-1 straight up against the NFC in his career. That is actually insane. 20-1 against the NFC in his career. I tend to fade Lamar Jackson whenever he's a huge favorite. But when we bet on Jackson, when the spread is less than a field goal, Jackson's 22-7 as an underdog or as a favorite of 3 or fewer points. So if you can catch the Ravens in this spot, history tells you that they'll cover and that Lamar Jackson will go take care of business. If anything, that 20-1 record against the NFC is enough for me to go with the Ravens. I mean, it's easy to be like the Cowboys are going to be at home and they're going to be angry because they were embarrassed against the Saints. The Ravens are freaking 0-2. How do you think they feel? You know what I mean? Like, we can't really go off that in this game because both teams are desperate for a win. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson because what do we know about Dak Prescott? When it comes to really important games or against top 5 quarterbacks, who do you trust more, Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott? That was rhetorical, I hope, but Lamar Jackson, way better record. Let's see what Rick's got here. Cowboys. Ravens offense looks uncoordinated and not on the same page, and they go 0-3. All right, so Rick is actually going with the Cowboys here. So we disagree on almost every game so far, besides the Bears game. But yeah, should be a really good game. Since Thanksgiving last year, this Cowboys defense has been shredded by any team featuring a good offense. They've allowed an average of 33.1 points to the Seahawks, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and Packers. So I also like the over 47.5 points going, but Rick's right. The offense has been not as great. But for this game, I expect more aggressive passing approach, similar to last week against the Raiders. Last week, Lamar averaged more than 11 yards per completion, and he was complemented by a ground game that had 5.6 yards per rush. So, I mean, it ended in a surprising upset, but I expect the Ravens to kind of lean into that, stay aggressive, and offensively put up points. Okay, this is a really, really good game. We got the Lions and the Cardinals. I told you guys all offseason, do not sleep on the Cardinals. And the Cardinals played a really good game. They could have beat Buffalo. They were right there at the end. And then last week, they absolutely embarrassed the Rams, who were beat up. You know, they're dealing with a lot of key injuries, but at the same time, the Cardinals still took advantage of that, put the foot on the gas, and looked amazing. I mean, it was a 41-point game against the Rams. So I like this game a lot. I think this is my game of the week. The line's opened at -4, so 4-point favorites, and the line has dropped down to this key number we're seeing right now of 3. Now, Detroit should come out hot in this game after a brutal loss to the Bucs last week. Detroit moved the ball well, but they just couldn't turn their success into points, and the Lions have a huge advantage up front with likely the best offensive line in the NFL, while the Cardinals' front 7 is the worst in the league. The Lions also rank 10th in defensive yards allowed per game, so they should be able to at least slow down this Arizona offense that has been looking really good so far in the season. Like I said, coming off a 41-point game against the Rams. But the Lions being an underdog, I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. I'm a big believer in the Cardinals, but the Lions +3, I like. If you had to bet, take the Lions +3. That means the Lions can lose, but not by 3 or more. Okay, so I see this being a very close game if the Cardinals lose this game at all. I mean, this is going to be a really good game, but this is definitely got to be on national television everywhere. This is going to be a really good game. Let's see where Rick is going with this this game. He's going Lions. I have a tough time seeing the Lions lose 2 in a row, even against a good Arizona offense. So Rick is going with the Lions. I'm going to go with the Lions here too. I'm really feeling inclined to go Cardinals. If they win this game, I'm going to start listening to that little voice in my head. Because, man, they're looking really good. All right, next up we have the Dolphins and the Seahawks. Dolphins and the Seahawks. Whew. All right. What just happened to my notes? All right, let's see what Rick's going here. Rick's going Seahawks. Tyreek will be a problem like usual, but Skylar Thompson will struggle all day against that Seattle defense and home advantage. So Rick going Seahawks at home. Like, I'm sorry, Skylar Thompson. No, I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. They have a top 5 defense. What they're doing under McDonald, the defense coordinator, who's now the head coach, defense coordinator for the Ravens last year, now the head coach. He looks like the real deal. He looks really good. I like how they're flying around. They're making open field tackles. They're not giving up any yards after the catch. They're playing with a really good energy. I just like the way the Seahawks are playing right now. They're playing sound football. They're playing the fundamentals well. They're not making a ton of mistakes. Now, their offensive line has been atrocious, and that has been an issue. But I do think them being at home playing a Dolphins team without Tua, that they're going to be able to mitigate that offensive line and try to slow down the pass rush with some screens or just running the football well with Charbonnet. But I like the Seahawks here. It's a far, far plane ride for the Dolphins. So give me the Seahawks. And me and Rick actually agree on this game. All right, next up, and Nick said, I really want to see the Hawks lose. I don't blame you. All right, next up, we got the Panthers and the Raiders. Andy Dalton being named the starter. Bryce Young officially benched. And Rick is saying Andy Dalton will bring some sort of stability at QB, but Raiders win by 7. I have been telling you guys since Bryce Young was drafted how bad he was. I brought it up so many times that people on the channel started joking that I hate Bryce Young. I don't hate anybody, let alone any football players. But with all that said, you guys are really going to realize how bad Bryce Young is when Andy Dalton comes into this Panthers team and moves the ball down the field and wins this game against the Raiders. I'm taking the Panthers to win this game. I think a veteran like Andy Dalton is going to come in. I think Xavier Legette and the pieces that they've added on this team, like they just need a quarterback to come in and distribute the ball and be able to hit those wide open targets, the ones Bryce Young is missing. And I think Andy Dalton's going to come in and do that. And I think they're going to get this win. I think the Raiders are going to be a little hungover off that Ravens win. And I think the Panthers get a very shocking win. And I think people start wondering really how bad Bryce Young was. Packers, Titans. This is a tough one for me because the Packers without Jordan Love, the Titans have Will Levis. Let's see what Rick said. He said Titans. Levis makes some dumb mistakes, but he makes up for it this week by having a good game. 2 touchdown passes and 250 yards. Now, the Packers defense they've been getting 3 takeaways per game. They lead the NFL. The youngest roster in the NFL, and they play like it. That youthful energy, flying around. And one thing about Matt LaFleur is you saw how bad Malik Willis was under what was the head coach that they fired in Tennessee? I'm blanking on his name. Mike Vrabel. He looked awful. He got 1 week to game plan under Matt LaFleur, and he found a way to incorporate what Malik Willis does well into the Packers. They were able to run the ball really well, and I think that's what they're going to do against this Titans team, is they're going to try to lean into running. The thing is, the Titans stopped the run pretty well up to this point. So I don't know how much success Green Bay is going to have on stopping the run. But I do know that there's going to be a lot of Packer fans at the stadium. I live in Nashville. These tickets were like $350 a pop. Crazy expensive. This is going to be a sold-out crowd. And the only thing that sucks is that Jordan Love won't be there. I think I'm leaning towards the Titans in this one. It's just going to be too difficult. You need your franchise quarterback out there. You put Jordan Love on the team, I'm taking Packers 10 times out of 10 times. But if you're making me pick between Malik Willis and Will Levis, why are their names that close? I'm going to go with Will Levis. All right. Man. Chargers at Steelers. Okay, Rick's going with the Chargers. He says 2 really good coaches and defenses, but I'm taking Herbert over Fields. I couldn't agree more. I didn't have to think hard about this at all. I'm going Chargers. The Chargers, it looked like Quentin Johnson is finally finding his form. Justin Herbert, I'm always going to go with him. J.K. Dobbins is running the ball really well right now. Defensively, the Chargers are playing amazing. I think they didn't give up a single red zone trip last week. What Jim Harbaugh wanted to do when he came over, establishing this nastiness, he's already done it. Now, the Steelers are kind of that same football team, but I agree with Rick. I'm taking Herbert over Fields. I know this is a home game for the Steelers, but I think the Chargers are going to go take care of business. I think they get this win, and me and Rick have a game that we agree on finally. Okay, next up, we have our ugly game of the week. Eagles at Browns. Whoa. And our viewers just dropped out. Well, Rick's going with the Browns. He said Deshaun Watson struggles again against the Giants defensive linemen. That's weird. That's weird, Rick. He said, I'm going with the Browns. Watson struggles again against the Giants. That's all it says. Sounds like you're going with the Giants. I'm going to go with the Browns. I think what we saw last week, like Amari Cooper has got no shortage of targets. He had like 8 targets in, I think, the first 2 games, maybe even more, but only like 2 of those have resulted in catches. So they haven't been able to get on the same page, and it seems like Watson is really trying to get he's trying to force that football to him. But it seems like Jerry Jeudy is kind of emerging as the person Watson is having rapport with. This is going to take some time. You bring in a new, wide receiver. Watson coming off that season-ending surgery. Right before he went out last year, he was actually starting to look like the old Watson. He wasn't quite there, but he was getting there. I think you're going to see the Browns win this game. I just don't trust the Giants at all this season. I think Malik Neighbors had like 21 targets last week, which is fine, I guess, but it just seems like they're desperate offensively. I'm going to go with the Browns, who I think just have more weapons offensively and a better defense, clearly, even though the Giants do have a good defensive line. All right. So those are our 1 o'clock games. Now we slip into the 4 p.m. slate. We already did a couple 4 p.m. games, but we have one left. The 49ers and the Rams. Okay. 49ers and the Rams. I'm going with the 49ers. Rick's going with the 49ers. This is what Rick said. 49ers Rams have too many injuries on offense, and we'll probably get beat by 10. Niners need this to be a get-right game. Yeah, I think the 49ers will be fine. They got to go on the road, but I don't think the Niners win this game by 10. I'm not even sure if they win this game at all. The Rams have played the 49ers very well at home. I think the Rams have a winning record over Kyle Shanahan. Sean McVay plays these games very tough and tends to be on the winning side. But I'm going with the 49ers because of the injuries. But unlike Rick, I don't see this as some blowout get-right game. I could see why you would lean that way after what the Cardinals did, but the NFL isn't like that. It's a week-to-week game, and I don't see the Rams getting blown out in 2 consecutive weeks, even if they were healthy or weren't healthy, whatever the case is. Especially this divisional game. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I got the 49ers winning at the end. All right, Sunday Night Football. This is my upset of the week. I'm taking the Falcons. Chiefs at Falcons. Rick's going with the Chiefs. Mahomes is the thief of joy when they're the visiting team. I'm going to give you my answer. While Mahomes is trying to establish his rapport with his wide receivers, whether it's Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice emerging as that number one, I don't think people realize, or maybe they take for granted, how important Isaiah Pacheco is to this offense. And I think when we see Christian McCaffrey go out against the Jets week 1, and then the backup running back comes in and he runs for 125 yards, we tend to think, oh, it's okay, the Chiefs will still run the ball well. Like, that's not always the case. Like, I'm sorry, but Samaje Perine is not going for $120. They are going to need Travis Kelce to step up, who has been like historically bad. If you have him on fantasy, you know that. The Chiefs offense really, without Isaiah Pacheco, is taking a huge blow. And I think it's a bigger blow than people are giving credit for. Meanwhile, the Falcons at home, coming off a really impressive win over the Eagles. Sure, it was a drop at the end, but whatever. They got the win, and it counts for momentum. And that momentum is going to be on full display when they're on primetime television and this crowd's going crazy. I like Kirk Cousins and the Falcons in this game. This is my upset of the week. I think the Falcons beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to be 1-2. Or I'm sorry, 2-1. They should have lost to the friggin' Bengals. I don't know how they won that game. They didn't even win that game. The Bengals gave that game up. They're like, we don't want to win this game. It was like an all-time collapse. And Richard Ramiro said Perine might do well, but he's not going for $120. He's not that guy. Nick said the Chiefs missed the playoffs. Please. I wouldn't go that far yet, but that loss is a huge loss. So hopefully, they'll get him back. But I have him on my fantasy team too, and I was like, oh, damn. I was like, I don't even have I had to start Montgomery as my RB2, which that's why I always go running back, because if you lose a running back and you didn't draft 3 running backs in a row, you're really going to be reaching. You're like, I'm starting Perine this week. Monday Night Football, the Jags against the Bills. Rick said Bills. Not sure why I keep picking against the Bills, but not today. Josh Allen is a stud, and the Jags need to show something before I pick them again. I agree. Right, the Jags offense has looked pretty inept. The Trevor Bank field, that whole thing kind of backfired. But I like the Jags to play this game really good, and I think this is a sneaky upset spot. I think the Jags are going to play a really good game. I think Trevor Lawrence knows that he's due for one. I think he's going to go on and play really good, but I'm going to go with the Bills to pull it out at the end. It reminds me of the Lions, the year that they kept almost winning games, but they lost to the Ravens because of a 66-yard field goal, and then they lost on a last-second touchdown. I feel like the Jags are going to kind of lose a couple games in a row in heartbreaking fashion while playing really good. I think that's what's going to happen here. It's just a feeling. I feel like the Jags play a really good game, but the Bills end up coming out on top, and people are like having a full meltdown in Jacksonville. But I do expect Jacksonville to right the ship here. I just don't know if it's going to happen against the Bills. And then we have, that's right, we have a double header on Monday Night Football. The Commanders and the Bengals. Like, Bengals. All right, the Bengals are 0-2. They need a win. T. Higgins is back. You got Chase and Higgins in the game. I don't see this being a close game. Rick says I can see this being a close game because of Jaden Daniels. I don't. I think the Bengals are going to have their coming out party. I think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase combined for 3 touchdowns. And I think the Bengals, right, this is when they start to win. They have to start the season slow. They did. I think the Bengals are going to come out and, like I said, right this ship in front of their home crowd. I'm taking the Bengals, and Rick is as well. And those are, Nick said, Bengals win, but Jamar Chase gives me 6 fantasy points again. That is awful. That is awful. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Normally I go much longer and I'm louder and I laugh, but for those of you that are just joining right now, I had my jaw broken when I was 18, and I just had my metal plates removed, so my mouth literally hurts to talk. So I just wanted to come out, keep this short, give you my predictions, be super monotone, try not to open my mouth too wide, and bless you guys with all of the wrong picks. And that's what I did. So hopefully you guys agreed with my picks. If not, go on FanDuel and put a bet in for all of the opposites, which seem to be working. But tonight I won $130. Took Florida State, took Colorado. If you guys didn't see the Colorado game, that was the best college football game I think I've seen since Colorado State last year. I think Colorado has a knack for these crazy games, but literally a Hail Mary his last play of the game, and Colorado player dropped it. It hit him in the chest, and he dropped it. So there was one play left. So Shedeur Sanders snaps the ball. He rolls out to his left, throws a Hail Mary, and it gets caught in the end zone. It's a touchdown, and then they kick the extra point. It goes into overtime. And then Colorado wins the coin toss, and they drive down and they score. And then Baylor is about to score, and the running back, as he's jumping over the goal line, fumbles it. But if the ball crossed the goal line, it's a touchdown. So while the refs are trying to sort out, was it a fumble or is it a touchdown? If it's a touchdown, we're going double overtime. The fans storm the field and take the goalpost down. And the refs are over the comm like, the game is not over. The game is not over. That play is under review. Go back to your seats. It was an absolute amazing. It's the kind of game you wake up on Saturday and you hope that there will be a game like that. It was such a good game, and I took Colorado in that game, so it was a really, really good game. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you can follow me at NFL with Kyle, and you can follow Rick at And Now Rick. Richard says have a good evening. Thank you, Richard. You too. Nick says see y'all for the Chiefs loss. Yeah, we can only hope. We can only hope. At this point, as a Bronco fan, all we can do is just hope that all the others lose with us. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.